We're here, my friends. You're here too. I'm Rachel Archelaus. This is Carrie Roldan. And today we're going to be celebrating you. I just filled Carrie in on this because I was like, what are we going to talk about? We've been talking so much about money, which of course we love. You guys love. And you can come to our free call tomorrow at alignedincome.com. But it's the end of the year. And when Carrie and I come to the end of working with someone, we do a celebration call. And it's a way to validate you, to celebrate you, to shine love on you, to remind you that you've done incredible things this year and things you should be proud of, things you should be milking, things that you wanted and now have. And that's really going to be the focus of today, but I'm sure we'll also go on many a tangent.
What? A tangent, us. No, I'm super excited about this call. That is one of my, actually, Rachel, I feel like most of the coaching calls that I wind up being on are celebrations, right? I like to start a call with like, what are we celebrating? Right? And then inevitably it creates that momentum until we realize, oh my gosh, like look at all these things that we can be celebrating. So it's one of my favorite things to do. I would imagine this is interesting. So already tangent. I love celebrating other people, meaning I'm less adept at celebrating myself, although I've gotten way better at it. But I love being in that moment of acknowledgement of like, oh my God, right? Like when my kids were toddlers, I would just be like, I remember when you couldn't do that. Like, right? Like that moment of celebration is like everything. However, I don't actually like celebrations, like parties and like somebody's graduation celebration, or like I don't like any of that. I don't like celebration ceremonies. Although that's not true because I create them in coaching and those are fun. So I don't know what I'm saying here, except for it's going back to my the idea of obligation, right? If it's an obligatory celebration, I'm out. If it's genuine and like delicious and wonderful, I'm all about it.
I feel ya. I think in terms of like parties, it's a different thing. You know, it's not like that intimate, personal celebration and acknowledgement. I'm with you there as well. So hello, Guillaume. Hello, Zach. Hello, Corinne. We're so glad you could make it. And we want to know, what can we celebrate for you? So take a moment, write stuff down, put it in the chat for us so that we can shout you out and we can talk about it, because that's why we're here today.
And actually, whether you're here with us live or you're watching us like later, it's so valuable to take a moment to pick one thing, just one thing that is worth celebrating, that lifts your spirits a tiny little bit. It doesn't have to be a massive thing. So I'm going to celebrate something right now, which is our neighbors, our next door neighbors on that side. We didn't have like a bad relationship with them, but I just was not interested in having a relationship with them based on a few interactions. But then we had a Halloween party and like we sort of connected over dog issues. And then yesterday they came over and they dropped off like holiday goodies for us. And that's like a total celebration. These were people who were like knocking on our door, like being total Karens and complaining. Which is funny because her name is actually Karen. And now like yesterday, it was so genuine. Like I was so, and my word for this year is receive, but it was like so genuine. I was able to just receive like neighborly kindness and like that these are just regular, awesome human beings and that there's no reason not to be in relationship with them. So that is what I'm talking about. Like the tiniest of celebrations, because they always lead somewhere bigger. So what did I just notice in saying that celebration? Oh gosh, I noticed I'm open. I noticed that my word for the year was receive. I noticed that I was capable of just receiving that little gift without any sort of weirdness or obligation or like anything. So winning. Rachel, what's a tiny celebration you have before we hop to the chat?
Well, I would say landing in a writer's group this year. It was great. I was invited because I was in a class with some of these people, and they're incredible people. They give me wonderful feedback. I enjoy spending time with them. I enjoy reading their scripts, and I love connecting with them beyond writing. Like, I have a lot in common with some of them, and we can talk about other things. And it's just so delightful. Like, as a true loner who loves to collaborate, sometimes I find those things are a little bit like this because I'm not usually the one initiating. And usually when I do initiate, it's not reciprocated. So this was just such a wonderful synchronicity, to be invited in to actually go participate and let these relationships evolve, because I find it's such a wonderful thing I look forward to, and it's so helpful in my career too.
Amazing. Amazing. I think it's funny that you say, I am a true loner who loves to collaborate, because I feel like a true loner probably doesn't love to collaborate.
Yeah.
And I will celebrate our collaboration, Rachel, because I was just telling someone about my business evolution and like my journey from just teacher and cross country and track coach who decided to stay home and try to figure something out to like where I am now. And I said, one of the things that I recognize is that I do like being in business for myself, but I don't like doing anything by myself in my business. And so I love that I have this collaborative relationship with you. And I have one with another friend that, oh man, like they just fill me up in ways that like I am an introvert, but I'm not a loner. And so I love that you're at least non-lonerish enough to hang out with me.
I love hanging out with you. Yeah. So it looks like we have some celebrations. So I'm going to read this one first. Remember when I said I wanted to do something with utility? Yes. I've just been made 2 days ago creative director of a project of redecorating Angel's Flight, a funicular railway in LA. Wow. Okay, there's more. Despite being in Denver and more, one of the craziest unexpected occurrences in a whole year of those. That's awesome. So let's definitely celebrate. First of all, let's celebrate you knowing what you wanted. You wanted to do something of utility to people. So you were clear. You asked for it. You recognized it, and you allowed it, because now look what here. It's so unexpected and wonderful, and that's just so exciting. Congratulations.
I am thrilled. And this is the moment of celebration that I'm so enjoying. So I'm going to try and describe it to you guys and hope that it's the same for you, which is, man, this feels like a really grounded, loving smile. Like the celebration in this it's not an I told you so, it's an I knew it, right? I knew it. Like, yes, I knew it. It's that. And I hope you are feeling that too, Zach. Like, I hope you are having that same grounded, excited, I knew it kind of a smile, like celebrating the yesness of what is happening. And I need to know, what is a funicular railway? Is it, I don't know if that's like isn't funicular something to do with your scalp? Am I way off? You have to let me know, because I'm like, what is that? Only because my husband has helped design some of the like railway things that are happening in like the light rail and the bullet train and all of that are happening in California. So maybe you guys are collaborating on the same project. I don't know what a funicular railway is.
But we do know what a creative director is, which is so cool and totally up your alley.
And how fun is it that creative director is a job? Like, it's a thing. It's amazing.
Okay, so we have an answer. no less surprised, but yes, yes, yes. It's a very slow 2-car railway connected by a single cable. Interesting.
So not a bullet train.
Sounds amazing. Yeah, not a bullet train. That's awesome. It's so cool. So, so cool. And it gets you out of Denver, I'm assuming. Maybe you get to go there and check it out. So there's so much wrapped up in this one thing that I love to see, right? It's like, it's not just checking one box, it's checking so many boxes. And that's what we hope you are all getting with these multi-dimensional results and, this like energetic lifestyle. So,
and what a resume builder, right?
yeah.
Like, what a thing to say that you've done, they've been a part of.
Absolutely. Okay. We've got one from Guillaume. For me, definitely leaving my job after 8 years. The last year was really stressful for me.
So Rachel, what does this one feel like in your body?
Well, it feels like relief. Feels like finally getting to relax, get some presence, get your grounding, figure out what you really want. And I know you have. You've really identified what you want to do. You're doing it. You're making headway with your writing and getting that out there. You have new goals. You have new places you want to see. So you're making it happen and you're allowing it to happen.
I better yawn. Guillaume. Congratulations. This one to me also feels like confidence, right? It feels like relief. And it feels like confidence. Like it feels like the momentum, the where you are headed, or the energetic where that you are headed, is stronger and focused and confident, and all of the things Rachel said. What just happened with your cat?
Do you see that her house is like off the floor right now? She's in the back of it cleaning herself and she keeps rocking it up. I just thought that was funny.
That is funny. And I was like, what is happening? Yes, Guillaume. So I just want you to know, like, I am feeling into this with you. And this is why we love celebration calls, right? Is because it's not just you that gets to celebrate. Like, we all get to join in this and feel those feelings and get filled up with the stuff that you are filled up with. And hopefully, like, help you milk that a little bit more and have you, through us, experience like the juiciness of what's really happening. I know for me, sometimes I tend to say things like, oh yeah, I left my job like after 8 years and like feels really good, and like not let myself feel really good. Like, you left your job after 8 years. You had the confidence to do that. You're in a place in your life where you're ready to do that. It gives you the freedom to do what you really want to do. I don't know if it has an edge of scariness or not, but mostly I feel so much confidence. Like when I feel into where you are. So good. So good.
Love it. Yes. So he is saying definitely resonating with relief. And Corinne, I am strong. I've always been strong, but I now recognize that my strength allows me to relax more in inner peace. I'm living my dream in joy and gratitude and still striving for more. Love, 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 love it. I don't even know what to say to that. It's perfect, right? Like, you're recognizing yourself, you're honoring yourself, you're giving yourself what you want. You know you are happy and satisfied now, but you want more. It's so perfect.
When I read that, I'm strong. I've always been strong, but I now recognize my strength allows me to relax more in inner peace. It makes me think about yoga and like a yoga pose where, and I don't know exactly like when you're talking about strong, I imagine you're actually talking about like inner strength, but just hear me out on this. Like this idea that when you hold a pose, right, your arms are out, say we're in warrior 2, if you know what that looks like. Your quads are working, your butt's tight, you're holding yourself in place, right? Like you're doing all the things and you're feeling strong. But then there's a moment where you're still feeling strong, but you can relax in your strength, right? You can just like sort of settle in, especially if you ever get in a yoga class where they make you hold it for a long time. Like there is this thing where you're like, I'm strong. And in this particular case, like you're even holding tension, right? But I'm also relaxed. And that's what I love, that I can relax more in inner peace, like that I can be, that these two things, this being strong doesn't have to, yay, Corinne, I got a yes. Being strong doesn't have to mean like working hard, right? It can mean like acknowledging I am strong and maybe I'm in the middle of some hard work and I can relax. I can feel good. I can appreciate myself. It's awesome. So awesome. Makes me want to do yoga.
I really love that. I'm feeling into that right now. And you guys can see why Carrie and I work so well together, because she's really good at this. She's really good at articulating how others are feeling and celebrating them. And I'm just like, yeah, that's really good. Okay. Well, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, are there more? Otherwise, I'm going to come up with a celebration.
Go for it. Put more in, guys. We're here. We're here for you.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to celebrate something. Gosh, I have a lot to celebrate. So I'm going to like go off bragging for a minute, but I'm actually going to celebrate stuff that, because it's just you guys. And I know this is a safe place. Like, I'm just going to like, okay, I recognize this is going on the internet and like people are going to watch it and whatever, but it's just us here right now. So you guys, I am so good at what I do and I love it so much. And my clients are like I'm just having the best couple of months of watching my clients thrive. Like watching them. I have one client who like, she just did the most amazing thing. She ran a 50K. She ran a 50K race and she had this weekend. And so the celebration is actually about not what happened, but the way she described it to me. Because like, I know this woman a few years ago, this woman would have described this weekend as like, ugh, and then there was this, and then, and like all of the details of her story, like they seriously could have gone either way. She signed up for this 50K race and she was sick and she thought she was going to be alone. And then she was with these other people and she had a plan. And then like she could have described it to me as like, it was the worst. Like it was awful. And but instead it was like, it was so beautiful. And it was the most beautiful run I've ever done. And I wasn't feeling well, but I just decided to finish and I came in last, but I was just so proud of myself. It was amazing just to like experience the growth in this woman and the momentum that has happened and know like I was a part of that. Like I was a part of this like miraculous, this series of a million micro shifts, right? That caused her to be in this place where everything is working out for her. Like life is cheering her on and she is moving in the right direction. And I just got off another call with she's a client and kind of a colleague. And we had this moment and I was like, you have grown so much. Like 5 years ago, or 3 years ago, you couldn't even articulate what you are saying. And so I'm just celebrating, like maybe owning I have a part in all of these stories. I know last time you guys heard Rachel and I celebrating our friend who is like doing and like living her dream. Like we had this tangible moment of like, remember when we dreamt this? And here it is. And I'm just noticing even the things that we didn't dream, like this weekend for this woman, we didn't dream this, but man, it is so good. So I'm celebrating that. I'm celebrating me. What are you celebrating?
Well, I'm celebrating for all of us that at some point we wanted this. Like, Corinne, you've always been strong, but now you feel it. You let yourself go there. You let yourself have it. to the point where you can feel peace while being strong. Maybe at some point you were like, man, I wish I was stronger, or I wish I could feel better, or I wish, right? And now you have it, which means that the next thing you're like, oh, I wish I could have this, or I wish this was my life. That is going to happen, right? Guillaume, you wanted to leave your job for such a long time and you did it. You did it and you're okay, right? Things are moving forward. You're having fun because you have more time. I know lots of other things are blossoming for you, and you have the stuff now that you wanted. Maybe not all of it, but you know the all of it is coming because you asked for this. It's here, right? Like this is what we need to keep reminding ourselves. I have this distinct memory of, I'd always wanted to do van life. Well, I got a van. I took a road trip to Tennessee and I was hiking on this beautiful trail with waterfalls. It was unbelievable. So beautiful. It looked like Hawaii because like the leaves were so big and everything was so luscious and it was so humid. And I was thinking to myself, like, oh, when I get to do this, and I had to stop and I was like, I'm doing it. Like, I'm here. I did this. I'm here. This is my life now. You kind of have to like catch up with that idea of like some of this stuff, at least that I asked for before, is here. I'm here with the stuff I asked for. So I can trust whatever else I want. I'm going to be there with it pretty soon. So we need to recognize these things. It's so important to know that we get what we ask for, right? It's just, there's nothing that beats that moment of like recognition of like, I did this, more is coming.
Okay, my dog is barking at nothing again, so apologies for the random barking. And we got some more celebrations in the comments, and I am really excited about Tracy. And she says she quit her job, moved to a warm climate, and then spending 5 days a week at a yoga studio. Okay, so all of those things, massive celebration. Working on trauma release, massive celebration. Like I can feel that, like just saying those words, like I am releasing trauma. Working on trauma release and embarking on an art journey. Really, really love the way that you phrase that. I don't even know what an art journey is, like, but I'm leaning into the idea of that, right? Like embarking on an art journey. Amazing. It's painful and incredibly difficult. Yeah, but I'm just celebrating all of that. And then you said, yep, nonetheless, celebrating is necessary. And I want to say more than necessary. Like I get that it's necessary. Of course, celebrating is necessary. But like, can you feel into that with us? Like celebrating all of that. It's not just that like, oh yeah, I need to celebrate it to like continue. This is hard, but I got to celebrate it. It's like, are you kidding me? Like you just did all of that. You're embarking on an art journey. I mean, like, where is it going to take you? Right? Releasing trauma. Just feel into the idea of that word release. When I say it, something happens in my body. And I release some trauma. I don't even have to say trauma, like just release. That's amazing. So I just want to congratulate you, Tracy. Those are massive steps you're taking, and you are on a journey. And release feels incredible. Sorry about the dog.
It's all right. I love dogs.
She's punctuating.
Yes.
Did you have anything to add to Tracy?
Just wow. Wow. That is so much. That is a leap, a gigantic leap into the life that you are wanting. It's like full commitment. Here I am, life. I'm doing you my way. And that is incredibly inspiring and wonderful. So hopefully it is just the right amount of painful and difficult that you are looking for to feel alive and challenged, but on your own terms, it will become joyful and loving and miraculous and all the things that you're wanting really soon. And of course, it's probably all of the above all at the same time.
Well, and that leads me to actually what Jana posted. So she posted a couple of things. So she said, I'm celebrating so much growth in spite of the challenges and heartbreaks this year. It has been a rough one. 2022 is going to be my year. So I had all sorts of comments on that, Jana, but then you kept going. So you said, I did a lot of shadow work and trauma release this year too. Painful, but an incredible journey. And I love that because one, it's probably encouraging for Tracy, but two, it speaks to what Rachel was just talking about, like just the right amount of pain, right? Like just enough to know I can do hard things, just enough to know like I can feel that and keep on feeling, just enough to know I am bigger than any challenge that I face, right? Just enough to know I am strong. I can release this. Like, I love that. So thank you for sharing that. So before we go into your last little bit of celebration, Jana, I want to say every year is your year. Like, I think that it puts a little bit of pressure on us to say, this year's going to be different or 2022 is going to be my year. And I'm totally guilty. I do it every year. So important and powerful about just putting our flag in the ground, right? And claiming. That's why I like to pick a word for the year, right? Because it's something about like saying, this is my theme this year. This is my intention. This is what I'm doing. So no shade to claiming 2022 as your year, but also like, this is your moment. This is your day. This is your life. Like 2020, when we take these moments to make these declarations, it's just an opportunity to feel into who we already are and to like declare what it is that we know. So I don't know. It looks like Rachel has something to add to that.
Yeah, because exactly like what you're saying, even if it's hard or bumpy or painful, it's still your path of least resistance if that's what you're on. So it's still the perfect route for you. It's still the guided, higher self connected route. Like, so there's really no such thing as like, I'll join my path or like I'll get back to myself or what. It's all you. It's all perfect. It's all the same amount of unconditional love for you. So yeah, I just love the idea of, first of all, we're not saying don't look at it as your year. Of course not. But we're just saying to everyone also, like, you're always doing you. You're always on the right path. It doesn't matter if you're like blissfully happy or sobbing in your bathroom. Like, it's all you. This is all life. It's all earth. We're all playing this game. And you're not judged whether you're up or you're down. It's all the same journey.
And Jana's additional celebration, she says, okay, I will go into more of my celebrations. Created and launched a t-shirt line. And it's not just t-shirts because I bought one of your sweatshirts and I think I wore it last week on this show. I waited so long to wash it because I love the brand new, like super fuzzy on the inside, even though usually when they're like that, they leave fuzz all over your clothes. Don't care. Love that. But it is in the laundry right now. Which, side note, Rachel, my dryer is still not fixed. So this is a whole journey and I can celebrate myself on the journey. But yeah, when your life shows you resistance, my dryer is my resistance right now. Jana, got my level 1 and 2 Reiki this year. I think I barely had like a recollection of that. That's amazing. It's amazing, Jana. And animal Reiki. Oh, did you just say that? Oh, and also level 1 and 2 animal Reiki celebrations are a few things. Also, you traveled. I know, Jana, like you took a big trip to a retreat this year, which was a massive shift for you. You had that time away from home that you haven't allowed yourself to have in a really long time. You noticed that you were supported by other people when you were able to leave home. Like there was support for you to be able to do that. I'm gonna yawn. You switched to entrepreneurial things and like found a place that felt better, found a mentor that felt amazing. Like, wow, Jana, I know 2022 is your year, but I want you to acknowledge 2021 was your year too, right? All of us, I think it's so important to recognize like everyone here has said ups and downs, right? Everyone has said, I'm celebrating this, and it came with that, right? But it's about where we want to put our focus. Think about my client and her 50K race, right? It's about where we want to put our focus. And it feels so much better to celebrate. It feels so much better to look at like, especially when there was hard stuff, it feels really good to look at what was the good that came with that. That was hard. And so I had a whole year of and. That was my word for a year. And man, that was a good year. That was an expansive, open, receptive year.
Every year, I let myself have more of what I want, and I allow it to be okay to recognize that I'm still doing some things that maybe I feel are out of obligation or from limiting beliefs, and I decide that it's okay to let that stuff go. So every year I whittle down the stuff that I'm not in love with doing. And it gives me more time to do the things I really want to do. And I just want you to know that like every year is an improvement, if you want to call it that, even though that feels weird. It gets better, it gets easier, but it never invalidates the past, right? I remember when I was like fully living in all the things I did not want, like all of it, all day long. And that me was just as important and on track and lovely as this me. I'm just having a better time. Like that's the only difference. So I was having a conversation this morning with someone who related to my story of being in an abusive relationship. And if I hadn't gone through that and leaned into intuitive art at that time and put that story in my book, this person might not have related to intuitive art, and she's been using it a lot to help her get through this. And so like all of our experiences are important, and luckily when we do get a little bit more clarity, we realize a lot of what we experience is a choice. And I chose at some point to not experience that relationship anymore. But again, it doesn't make me like stupid, or it doesn't make anything wrong about how I chose to experience life. And as I get older, I just keep realizing like a lot of people have judgment about their past, which you don't need to, like everything you're experiencing is fine. And you just keep realizing that you have more of a choice of how you deal with it and how you live going forward. So if anyone needed to hear that, I just felt compelled to say it.
If you felt compelled to say it, then someone needed to hear it. So keep your celebrations coming. We want to hear it, right? Part of us spending a full hour in celebration is helping us build that momentum, right? Helping each other. The more you find to celebrate, the more celebrations find you, if that makes sense. Like the more things that are worth celebrating come to you. Rachel, I celebrated my own awesomeness. I got lots more, but what are you having? What else are you celebrating?
Well, last night I was celebrating with Eric the fact that, and you guys, I'm a broken record. 2 years ago, I didn't know anything about screenwriting. Now I have several scripts. I even sold one. And I just have set up some meetings with literary managers, and I've sent some scripts out, and I'm trying to get representation at the moment. And it's a lot easier than everyone told me, because apparently I found my way into the knowledge. And that's awesome. Like, every step has been so easy. And I was telling Eric, like, a lot of people want this life, right? A lot of people are on this journey of wanting to be a screenwriter. And I'm doing it. Like, I'm here. It didn't take me that long. And people really like my work. And so I'm so in awe of the allowing that I've given myself. And trust me, at every turn, people are telling me how difficult this is, and it's never going to happen, and you're never going to be good enough. And like, I just tune them out, because that's not going to be my story. So yeah, just celebrating how I'm allowing this to be easy and fun, because it's so exhilarating to me. And I'm excited about where it's going to take me from here.
So I'm going to celebrate that with you, and I'm going to celebrate it a little bit further. You sold one. Like, what? That's amazing. That's amazing. That is like, this is what I'm talking about, right? Like, it's so, when it's yourself, you're like, I'm celebrating this. That's good. But like, holy shit, Rachel went from a dream to 2 years later, fully immersed in this world, and can officially say, I am a professional screenwriter. And you can't see all of me, but this is me, like, wow. And let's talk about that for a minute, about making it easy. Because one of the reasons that it was in, I don't know if I talked about this last week too, but I think I did. So I sent an email to my list about our event coming up tomorrow, our workshop coming up tomorrow, Aligned Income, where I described my Elle Woods moment. And the whole thing was like, what? Like, it's hard? And screenwriting has been a little bit like that for you. Like, what? Like, it's hard? And think about so many success stories are of people who didn't know that it was hard, right? Like, no one told them that it was hard. So they didn't know how hard it is to succeed at this. And so they did. And I'm pointing that out because nothing has to be hard, right? Hard is, that's just a story. That the story of the size of somebody else's resistance. That's what hard is. Like, it's like, oh no. So I think about when I was younger and I wanted to be like in show business. And my mom would like lovingly kind of tell me, well, not many kids, everybody wants to be a movie star, Carrie, but not very many every little girl wants to be a movie star, but only one or two actually get to live their dream. So, right. Like, I understand what she was trying to do. I really wish she hadn't. I probably would have found this path regardless. But, right? She told me that it was hard. It didn't have to be hard. You can expect things to be easy. You can expect the best. You can expect it to be a joyful learning journey, and it will be. And I feel like for you, Rachel, yes, you have done a lot of work around allowing. And you understood the story of some people think this is hard. Some people say that it is hard. But you also like chose, right, where you want to put your focus on the stories of it can be easy. It can be joyful. It can be aligned. And so it has been. So I want to celebrate that for you. Celebrating, like, leaning into ease. It's pretty freaking major.
What I also love, and thank you, is that for all of us here, like a lot of us are on like second or third career, or we like to pivot. Um, because of the business stuff that I do, I have a lot of what managers are looking for. Like I have a social media following, I have an email list, I have books that have already been published. And so, like, because of a totally unrelated field and unrelated career, I'm already checking a lot of the boxes that people are looking for. So, the same is true for all of you. Like Zach becoming the creative director of this railway. Like, he's not a railway expert, right? Like, this is probably kind of out of the blue, but because of his past in publishing and writing and probably history, like, he was the right guy for it. So I just want to encourage all of you. Like, it doesn't matter. I talked about this in my video yesterday. If you guys saw it, now I just like totally lost my train of
You
thought.
said it doesn't matter.
Probably. Oh, it's yes. So many people, when they want to pivot, when they see something exciting, they get this inner twinge of like, oh, shiny object syndrome, and they stop themselves from going to something new. But I see that differently. I see if you are excited about something, attracted to something, go for it. Like, that's part of your path, that's part of your intuition. And everything leads back to each other at some point in the way that is most beneficial for you. So you don't ever have to worry about ditching something or changing or pivoting, because as long as it's exciting or curious to you, because that is just your path of least resistance.
I love it that we can see perfection in the journey, right? That leads me all the way back to Tracy, right? Talking about her journey. Like, there is perfection in the journey. And I think that's the most fun part. This is one of the most fun parts of being human, is like recognizing nothing that's happened could have happened if that didn't happen, right? Like recognizing Zach was commenting about connections. Man, connections are magical. Connections are, and I love, no matter how you think about God or the universe or spirituality, right? Every once in a while, it is really fun for me to think about like the puppet master in the sky, right? Like the I'll just say the bigger version of myself that is like, oh, watch this, right? Like, and I just think, I mean, yeah, that's just so fun. Like, that to me is worth celebrating, that it's always all working out and that nothing is ever wasted. And everything that's happening is taking us where we're going. That's some cool shit.
Yeah, it really is.
Sorry, Rachel. I was just going to say, like, thinking about your screenwriting journey, it's important to recognize that you didn't start your business, your YouTube channel, your email list. You didn't start any of that thinking, well, I got to do this so that I can eventually have a screenwriting career, right? Just all on the journey. I want to talk about shiny object syndrome, though, really quickly. And I scrolled in the comments, so let me see what the new ones are. Yes, Tracy, synchronicity. But shiny object syndrome, I think, is worth talking about for just a second, because you can tell when it is true shiny object syndrome, which is something that is like distracting you from where your focus needs to be, and when it is where your curiosity is taking you, where intuition is taking you. And is my motivation in this, does it feel curious and good and like something that I want to do? Or does it feel like I'll miss out if I don't do it, or it feels like something I should do, right? Like if there's an element of like shamey, shouldy fear, or like fear of missing out, FOMO, that's like real shiny object syndrome. If it's just like, ooh, what is that from Buddy the Elf? What's a Christmas gram? I want one. Like if it's that, then go with it.
I love that movie.
Me too.
Yeah. You guys are totally on it. Thanks, Zach, for the shout out. I do have a book and you can read it. It's on Amazon.
I was looking to see if it was in arm's reach. It's not.
Yeah. And a lot of people talking about connections. Tracy talked about connections as well. So I think that's something worth talking about as well, because like I said in the beginning, I always think about myself as a loner. But the fact is, I love people. I love people. I just tend not to be the one to initiate anything like conversations or group invites or whatever. I'm not the one creating a group of peers usually. And so I rely on my vibration to hook me up with the people that are going to be my closest friends, like Carrie and Courtney and this writers group and so many other things. It's usually people coming up to me. And so connections have been really important in my life, but there's really like, it'll happen for you if you're an introvert or an extrovert, as long as you are open to it, as long as you are like, unlike some people I know, they're like, I hate everyone. Everyone's so stupid. I don't like people. I don't like groups. So, and that's the case with getting what you want as well. So going forward, it's always important to, even if you don't think something is going to come to you or you have a little resistance about it, just try to be non-judgmental and open so that things can synchronize for you and get delivered.
I'm looking at Tracy and Jana's comments. So Tracy says, I'm counting on synchronicity and always looking and listening for it. That is connection to people, places, and things. Yeah. And I think the more we celebrate synchronicity, the more we get. Right? The more we get, the bigger those. I'm having fun with synchronicities, and like I have intentions of some really massive, exciting like connections or moments of discovery, right? And like I know those are coming. And then Jana says distraction versus passion was a key for me in determining my shiny object syndrome. Yeah, I get shiny object syndrome all the time because so I'll tell you an example of one that happened recently. And Rachel was like, she didn't say, Carrie, this is shiny object syndrome. Don't do that. She said, yeah, okay, well, let's feel into that, right? Like, but it was basically like, there are the idea of more and more and more passive income feels really great. And every once in a while, I will attract a YouTube ad that like takes me down a passive income stream hole. And sometimes those things are right for me. Like I most recently like found this real estate investing couple that I just like love. Like I love them. They're my people. I'm their person. I'm learning so much. Like that is one of the things that's one of my intentions, right? So I'm like heading down that path joyfully, the same way that Rachel went into her screenwriting path. But there was this other thing. This was, I don't know how long ago it was now, but it was like, it was about audiobooks. See, I can't even remember. But like it seemed like a great idea and like it was easy and like I'm about audiobooks and writing books isn't hard for me and like but it was like this thing that I realized like, ooh, I'm excited by the idea of it. I'm excited by the idea of passive income. But if I let myself lean into this for just a little bit, I don't want to do that. Like that, right? Like it felt like it should. It felt like this should be easy. This should be fun. This should be. But then when I really looked at like what it was and what it would entail and what it was about, it turns out it was about hiring someone to write the book for me and hiring someone. Like it wasn't actually me at all. It was passive, I am looking for passive income, but it wasn't aligned. And so that's for Jana, that was a distraction for me, right? It was a distraction. I'm glad that Rachel kind of said, why don't you sit on that for a hot minute and see? So thanks, Rachel.
Anytime.
Ooh, sorry, Jana's talking about human design. You can read that. Go.
Well, actually, I wanted to talk about Jana's first one because, and we'll get to your second one. Thanks for commenting, Jana. You're bringing up great stuff. All right. Distraction versus passion was a key for me in determining my shiny object syndrome. And then she says, and learning human design and that shiny objects are actually part of who I am, it has been determining the good and the bad. So I want to talk about distraction because that's part of my flow. Like, I love distraction because, and just like Jana's saying, you kind of have to know yourself and what's going to work best for you. But for me, I have so many things going on at the same time, but that's how I function best. And I use distraction to move me from one to the next to kind of reset my energy and to dissipate any resistance that I've built up. So work on one thing until I hit resistance, and then I'll, play a game or watch a YouTube video or go sew or go do something else or just switch to something else. But distraction is a big part of my day. And it's part of my day that I love because luckily, even though I have a lot going on, I've got time as well for distraction. And so for me, it's part of my resistance maintenance program. And it really works for me, refuels me, gives me an outlet, like a veg time. And it's just part of my workflow. So for me, I love it, but I understand that for other people, it could be a different story. And so it's nice to know finally like what works for you and what doesn't and how to apply it.
I don't know if it was a course or something, but I have a friend who described to me, and she had read it in a book, so who knows where it actually came from, but the idea that how she was talking about masculine energy versus feminine energy and how it works. And she talked about the idea of productive puttering. And that helped me stop judging myself for being distracted, recognizing like, oh, that's actually just part of how my energy works. And this is where, so productive puttering looks like most of my day, sounds like yours as well. Like starting on this and then getting distracted by that and going over there and starting on that. And then while I'm over there, noticing the dishes and then doing the dishes. And then while I'm noticing the dishes, remembering that I wanted to start dinner and then starting to, and like having several things going on at once. And I often describe it as like an upward spiral, right? Like slowly I'm closing all those loops. I'm getting all that done, but it looks a little scattered. Like where I think about how I know other people might deal with it, right? Start a project, complete it, move to the next. And I feel like that's more about what we're taught, but same, it doesn't work for me in the same way at all. And so instead of judging myself for being distracted, recognizing, oh, part of the process, right? Part of how my energy flows. Now I want to ask about human design. Do you know anything about it, Rachel?
Not a drop. The only thing I've ever heard about it was from you.
Oh, okay. Well, so part of my human design, I think, is that actually that I'm lying to you right now as I'm saying it, because I'm pretty sure part of my human design is actually that I'm super detail oriented, which I think is funny because I don't identify as detail oriented. But what I know is if I think about it, I do remember a lot of details of things. But I don't identify as detail oriented because I can only remember details that matter to me. So, anyways, all that to be said is human design. You were talking about how you don't, like when you're not the person to organize the group of people. And my human design, I am a projector. And I think that part of my human design, that means that I remember this part, I await the invitation. So basically it says, you can't be the pusher. You can't be the driving force, Carrie. You can't be the thing. You just have to be asked. You have to wait. You have to be invited. And once you're invited, you freaking shine. And same when I had, I know you guys have heard this story, when I finally just claimed, I'm just going to do two things. One, show up, two, be awesome. Whew, right? That changed everything. Then I got invitations. So anyways, thank you, Jana, for bringing that up. And this just goes back to like being able to celebrate yourself, being able to know yourself, know how you work, know how you go, and trust that all of it is getting you where you asked to go. You're on your path.
And I have to say it. I have to. But I wouldn't know Carrie if she didn't invite me into her group. So there are exceptions to everything.
But that group, the reason I started it was because I told someone what I wanted, told Jean, and she locked arms with me and said, let's do it. Right. That was the invitation. So then I was like, okay. Anyways, keep going.
Yeah. But I just, I've been learning more about like the Myers-Briggs and my type and like the Enneagram and my type, and they do resonate quite a bit, but not completely. So please just use your own discernment and resonance over what someone else will type you, because it's just, you never want to rely on anyone or anything else for information about you, except to the point that it's helpful, right? Like, oh, wow, this explains me, and this, I feel relief from this, and this is exciting to me, right? Like, there's the good and the bad. So I always have to point that out, because people are always like bringing that up to me, and I'm always like,
well, it's so funny, right? Because there's so many different tests, and there's something in my personality, I think most personalities, that really likes being reflected back to yourself and really does find validation in like hearing things that they're like, oh yeah, okay, I can identify, I know, right? I'm part of the INFJs, right? Like my tribe, like there's something about that. But yeah, I was talking to my friend about it too, and it's like, it's funny because most of them, I love them because they tell me how awesome I am. And she recently did Enneagram, and she's like, yeah, I didn't really like mine. And I was like, that happened to me too. Like I looked at my Enneagram and I was like, I don't want to be an 8 or a 3 or what. I can't remember if I was a 3 or an 8 because I didn't like it. So I can't remember it. But yeah, that's so true, right? Use it in the way that it fills you up, not because it actually like quantifies anything about you.
Yep, because you are everything, and you are anything that you want to be. And our personalities, though quite consistent for most of us, are not locked into stone. And you are you just in this moment, and you can change and morph, and you will if you're paying attention. So it's just so much easier to live if we define ourselves in each moment by our truth in each moment, and pay more attention to that. So, but again, do you, if it feels good, then do it. But I just like to say that.
So I'm going to change subjects really quickly because it just popped into my head.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that we have 2 minutes left. I got to see Wayne Dyer in person, I don't know, pretty long ago. I think my children were babies or toddlers or something. So long, at least 10 years ago. And he said lots of things. I loved being there in person with him. It was such an inspiration for me because guess what he did? He just showed up, beat awesome. Beat awesome. Yeah, that's a word. He was just awesome. I'm sure he was telling the same stories he always tells. But he basically just stood up there and rambled for an hour or more. I don't know however long the thing was. And I just soaked it all in. And I was like, that's what I want to do. Right? Like, I just want to show up and ramble. And people be like, that was good shit. Right? So one, thank you, Wayne Dyer, for like just living in your awesomeness and inspiring me, that like showing me that like, that's a thing. People will show up. If you're awesome, people will pay just for you to hang out and ramble with them. So that's my dream. So thank you, Wayne Dyer. But I said I was going to be quick, and now it's 12:30 and I wasn't quick. But one of the things he said was that he was learning about how our cells work, and he was so fascinated that he didn't have in his, I think the slowest part of your body to like totally regenerate takes 7 years. And so at any given point, the oldest part of your body is only 7 years old. Like the oldest cells in your body are only 7 years old. So I love that. I love that thinking about like, yeah, you're always you, and you're always becoming. You're always regenerating. You're always like rebirthing yourself. And you have a lot more power and control over that than we've given ourselves. And so as we are thinking about moving into next year, and as we're celebrating all of our awesomeness, like we can celebrate. And especially those of you who are like trauma release and things like that, like we're constantly becoming a newer version of ourselves, literally. And that's awesome.
Yeah. Amen. Well, thank you, Zach. We love you too. We love you all. Thank you so much for coming. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. And you guys are the best. We celebrate you. We love you. Thank you for sharing your celebrations with us and letting us in to see a little bit more of your life. It's really incredible. So, thanks, Guillaume. Nothing else to say. Go live a great day, and we love you, and we'll see you soon. Bye,
Bye, guys.
everybody.